I am back. Ugh, what a week. So I was finishing up a commission, which were two puppets, two caricature puppets, which I can't show you, um, in 6 days, including a wedding dress and a tuxedo. So I was up till 4:30 in the morning making a wedding dress for this puppet. Anyway, so I'm done with that. And then I had to clean up my workspace and manage not to injure myself. But I want to get started on the last of the melon pole rebuilds, and this one's really a rebuild. This Sammy here is from 2006, and up until recently, it was still a serviceable puppet, so I never bothered to rebuild him. However, when I was demonstrating him a few weeks ago, I put my thumb right through the mouth palate because it's just crumbling in there. So he also needs a redesign because that's the character that he's supposed to look like. And well, he's reminiscent. I think I can do a little bit better. Oh, hey Scott, how's it? I see you're building yourself and using the trick I showed you. How's it working for you? Oh, there's dust all over this place. I threw out 3 trash bags full of mistakes, I guess, and extra materials that I worked on that project with. But anyway, I will get started. So when I start building a puppet, let's see. When I start using building a puppet, I usually do a series of design drawings, or when I'm doing a replica. Scott says you're a lifesaver. That is all. I tell you that technique changed my life. I kind of know why it works, but that it would have such a effect, I had no idea. So yeah, I'll be demonstrating that technique in this video as well, or not this video, but this series of videos. Okay, so Sammy, the giant hamster, powers the engine of the steel duck. This all makes sense if you read Melon Pole. So when I draw him, this is what I do. He was very Garfield and Don Bluth inspired when I was a kid. Okay, so that's basically Sammy. That's the way I draw him, and then from the front. And obviously, when you're translating a cartoon character who's designed for 2D into a three-dimensional space, like puppets, or even CG, you know, you don't always you aren't always able to capture everything about it, but you capture the important things like color and as many design elements that you can translate over. One of the things I had to do on this puppet, and again, his mouth plate is garbage, but you can see I'm still using upholstery foam in there. I think his head is yeah, it is. It's a really bad, crusty what do you call it? Reticulated foam, and then his mouth plate The upper seems fine, but the lower is completely gone. So anyway, oh, he's pretty heavy too. And he is bigger than all the other puppets. Yeah, the upper is fine. I'm just like trying to see, but I don't like how his nose is so stubby, and I wanted that kind of upswing for his nose there. And from the front on, he kind of looks like the character, but yeah, I think I can do better. Also, the one of the things that is a problem with this puppet is because he's so big, he has a tendency to collapse, and he has no boning in here at all. So that'll help a lot of that. And I'm going to use a different fur. So when I did the capybara build, it's very similar to this fur. It's not the same stuff, but it was going to be the what I used from then on with Sammy. Oh, here's something else that's kind of interesting. Look at all this glue. Look at all this glue. I don't know if you can see it. There's glue all the way around on this thing. I'm going to probably use the exact same Christmas bulbs that I had for that, but I'm going to be a little bit nicer with it. And I don't know how this happened, but it looks like all the paint is worn off of just this one eye. I don't know if there was something leaning up against it that was constantly moved or what, but yeah, one of those things. Okay. Scott, I swear by upholstery foam, though I will say I've found it doesn't have as long a life as EVA, for example. But I personally find EVA can be too stiff. Yeah, EVA is too stiff for a lot of things. If you want any malleability in the head or anything, you really can't use EVA. But like on the Ralph build that I just did, the head was EVA so that it could have some resistance against the mech to make the eyes work. So I don't know that I might use EVA for his body. But I like reticulated foam for the heads because if I can get away with it, because it's light and it also hides the seams so much better. And it also doesn't rip like upholstery foam does. In fact, of course, I just took out the trash, so I don't have any handy. But let me grab a little piece of both. Okay, so this is upholstery foam, and you can basically just rip it like that. And I might be able to rip this, but it doesn't. It has a little bit more stretch to it, and that's one of the reasons I like it. And once this has just a tiniest little problem, it just keeps going. See, this stuff, like I said, while it will rip, it tends to hold up a little bit better. And that's the main reason I like it. It's more expensive. It does have less of a life than some upholstery foams, but yeah, I like to use it for the stuff that I'm going to have to be puppeteering above my head for any extended period of time, because it is lighter too. So, anyway, but I use upholstery foam for patterning and some builds. Depends on how much they're paying me. Okay, so let me get some of my favorite stuff, upholstery foam, and I think I'll start this process. Although I probably won't. Maybe I'll use a bandsaw. I don't know. Yeah, you can get upholstery foam locally. That's for sure. That's a good thing. I'm not trying to dissuade you from using upholstery foam. I'm just telling you why I hate it the way I do. No, I'm just kidding. Knowing the different materials and how they react to different foams and different things, that's a good chunk of it. You may want to use upholstery foam in certain puppets over reticulated over EVA, or you may want to use EVA over something more than the others. It's all what you want the puppet to do. I made that Godzilla mainly because it was cheap to make it out of EVA floor mats, and so it was a better solution to that problem of not having a lot of money in the budget. I mean, I bought $60 worth of foam and was able to build the entire suit. And probably a different type of foam would have been better just for movement, but it worked. You know, there's a lot of factors into what you use. I say try whatever, though. See, that's what makes it so great. It's scarcity. I'm just teasing you. Okay, so this is my wedge pattern, which you can get from my website if you want. It's the patterning handout. It kind of shows how I use it. There's nothing particularly special about it other than 8 of these will make a ball. And I got new pens, finally. I was so tired of always pulling out a pen and having it be dead. I'm trying to think what the best way to do this is. I think I will gang them up so that I can do this fast. Otherwise, this whole video is going to be about me cutting out wedges. This this piece of foam is getting less and less foam on it with each swipe of this. Okay. So I found that I can a pin. This is all the same stuff I do in every one of these videos, but I find that I can cut 4 of these wedges out at a time on the bandsaw if I pin them together and do it. And the pins are just short enough that you can do that without the head sticking out. So that's why I do 4 at a time. You need 8 for the circle, for the sphere. And I find that this surface that I'm able to pin into is so useful. This is just plastizote, which I've never been able to find another piece this big. This is just a leftover from the shop. But you can also use foam core or a cardboard box. But being able to pin straight into it is so much faster when you're patterning, especially. Because you don't have to fiddle with pinning stuff to the fabric. And that's it. You go through a whole sheet of. It's not a whole sheet. About a 1x6 piece of foam. Okay, I'm going to see if I can get a shot of the bandsaw over there. It's going to be quick, but I may not be able to. This is gonna be worth it, I swear. Okay. I have a dust mask to sleep with. Wonder where I got this. Okay. So you want to be real careful when you do this. You don't want your fingers anywhere near it. Here we go. Sometimes that happens, though. You got to be careful. And all that happened was the foam got caught and ripped it right off. All right. Yeah, it looks like it got stuck in there. And that might be the end of this. Let me see if I... Yeah, well, I got most of the way through it. I'm not sure what that happened. But I don't want to spend the whole time just trying to figure out what's going on with that saw. All right. So I got through most of this. But see, I got 4. And then I got one side of 4 others. So I'll just cut the other here. I'm sure there's just a piece of foam that's stuck in the blade. But going through it and doing that doesn't sound like fun to me. Oh, that's an interesting thing. I forgot that none of these are marked. The nice thing about the bandsaw is that they all end up perfectly straight. It's not that important to do it at this stage because I work very messy and then get more and more refined as I go. But as Stacey Gordon likes to say, it's good to have good habits at every stage of the building. She may have said something a little bit more eloquent than that. All right. Who knew there would be so much drama in my feed today? Yeah, I see. Scott says, "I love building the body for puppets." What specifically about the body do you like? I know this like the one part that requires the least amount of, like, I guess, engineering. The head and the hands there's so much time getting the getting the the internals done, but the body's a pretty straightforward one, I guess. You get a lot of result for the amount of time you put into it. So the reason I'm pinning these back together is that I can run glue along all edges at one time. See, when it's done on the bandsaw, it all comes out exactly the same. They're a little off on this, but it doesn't matter. Okay. Oh, so the whole reason I showed you how I drew him was to help me identify the shapes. So when I started drawing him, I started with the circle, which translates to the sphere, which is what I'm going to build. And then I'm going to figure out this shape and how that'll translate to a puppet. He also has a little bit of a jaw in there too. Oops. I just broke that pen. I'm breaking everything today. There's a little bit of a jaw there. But when I'm going to translate this puppet this into a puppet, I'm going to have to do something about this mouth, because I don't think it'll work as a puppet. I mean, I built him like 5 times and it's gotten closer and closer. So maybe, but 20 years later, I can finally figure it out. Scott, I actually love how versatile body patterns can be. For example, you could use the same pattern to make both a person, a monster, and an animal, and it would make sense. Whereas there are certain patterns for the head where they're very specific. That's true. That's true. But like, this is all. I mean, Roberta was the same way, because she has a different. She has a female body, but all the Melonpool characters have the same body, except Sammy and Roberta. So he's gonna be a big boy. Get my mask on. I'm gonna shut the door too, so that Tilly doesn't come in. I have the window open. I have the fan going. Ideally, I would just do this out on my patio, but what fun would that be? You know what, though? I'm gonna get that blade. I also lost it. I'm gonna get that blade. I'm gonna cut off some paper real quick. Oh, never mind. I have this. I think I use the hands, pretty much the same hands over and over again too, because you can pretty much use those on any puppet. And I've tried to adapt my building a little bit since seeing BJ's recent video on using contact cement. I was putting way too much glue on these things, but I don't even know how I fell into that, because I used to do it the way he did it, but somehow I ended up starting to just use the brush more and more and got lazy.
The gluing on this is not as important either, just because, well, you'll see. This is the first prototype. Usually I can get the shape in about 3 iterations. I'll have the final and the third build. After I put the glue on this, I'll bring out the old Sammy patterns. I should probably build one of those too. Yeah, there was a Sammy that had live hands, and it was so difficult to puppeteer that I abandoned that pretty quick. It was nice to be able to have him feed his face, though. If I can get a couple more commissions, I'm going to get a new computer and maybe some barge spinners. They're probably in that order. I mean, the nice thing about the glue being this thin, or this, not as much on there, is that it does dry and get tacky pretty fast. But it's really easy to miss spots too. All right. And that's why I leave them all attached. It's a lot easier than having to glue all of them at the same time. I mean, one at a time. Here. Let me shoot that fan over here. All right.
And I think I missed a side. We'll see. I seem so shocked. Still wet on that one side. I'm actually hosting a puppet building workshop with kids tomorrow and showing them how to build a paper bag puppet. So excited for it, but just wondering if you had any examples of paper bag and popsicle stick puppets I can use. I don't have anything like that. I have made those years ago. I'm trying to think if I have anything like that. So a lot of people just stop here. I mean, they make it out of wedges, and then that's their head. Yeah, there's not enough glue on this thing. That's it. Forget it, BJ. I'm going to do it my way now. It's so hot here today that I'm sure that has something to do with it. It only has to stay together for a few minutes, though. Yeah, I got to put more glue on these two halves.
See, my plan was to actually do all this prior to coming on here and have it done, and have the head sphere ready, so it could just go right into prototyping. But I decided this place was too disgusting to keep working in. Not disgusting, but it was very. I think half my tools are out, and I was up all night. So I think maybe the barge is lower than I thought. Yep, Sammy the Hammy. I'm starting him. And on the finals,
I very rarely use the hair dryer because it doesn't give quite as good of a bond. But for this, because it is just kind of part of the process of figuring out the pattern, I don't mind using the hair dryer. And because I build it so haphazardly, it's not a perfect sphere, and that works to your advantage sometimes. So you can see it's not a perfect sphere. It looks different from every angle, and so in part of this is it when I look at the drawing, do any of these angles remind me of this drawing? And I want to say because of the slope of this right here, that reminds me of the front of his head. So I'm going to orient it this way. And it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, as you'll see. But that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make a quick mouth plate, I think. Well, let me see. How do I want to do this? Okay, so first of all, I've got to do something about this nose. So maybe I'll start there. And then work right into the mouth plate. So the way I usually make a nose on like Eddie and stuff is I make like a big D, like so. So it's like a muzzle. And then I add a tube to the front and then kind of taper it to make the top of it. And then when that's done, I make kind of a smaller D to make to make the lower jaw. However, with this character, I think I'm going to have to do more like this. I'm going to cut that out. I'm going to try and get it as symmetrical as possible, even though this isn't, I didn't draw it particularly symmetrical. All my hard work. And I don't think his mouth is going to be this high up, but I have to start somewhere. Yeah, I think it's going to be just a little lower. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I feel like there's a lot of people that get stuck just not trying, just like they can't psych themselves up enough to even try to do it. And so a lot of times at this stage, I'll just start throwing stuff together. More of a wedge. And a lot of this is experience, just having done it as often as I have. Well, I did it the wrong way. Looks like a duck. Okay, we're going to start it here. What are you linking to, Dave? Oh, I see. Yeah, yeah. Those puppets. There are parts of some of my puppets that have some of the old crank pieces in them. In fact, actually, I'm going to take a break because I want to talk about what you guys are talking about. Whenever I have to get vacuform eyes, this is something that was given to me by BJ when I was in the shop, and it is the old case for the eyes of some of the crank blanks. We had these all over the shop, and in here are probably some screen used eyes from different characters. There aren't a lot of matches, but there's some. Like that. Similar shapes. But what I do with them are if I haven't already done it, I find a blank that is what I was trying to basically the same shape that I want to do, because I don't have the bucks to make any more of these. But what I do is I put a little bit of Vaseline or Neosporin inside here, and then I take my favorite Propoxy and put it in here to until it basically fill it up. And then when it cures, I can pop it out and I get this. And then I can sand it and fill it and get it nice and smooth. You see, that's what I popped out of that. And then now I have a vacuform buck that I can use to make more eyes. So that's what I use this for. And occasionally I've used these eyes for other things. This is actually one from Crank Anchors. This is one of the ones they pulled for Crank Anchors. But I don't know. But because I got all the stoner eyes, there are very few of them I can actually use as is. Like, what am I going to use that for? Not to mention the fact that most of my eyes are like 5 times as big as these things. But yeah. Anyway. Okay, let me get back to this now. So this will probably, I mean, I'm not going to do the whole process here. I'm going to start it, show you the process, and then I'm going to probably tonight or tomorrow during the day when I can do this outside, I'm going to do the rest of it. But
usually it takes a couple hours to get it the way I want it. And it looks terrible, but then I'll make a pattern off of it. Ooh, there it goes. Okay, so I'm going to take this. And what I found, if you do end to end, sorry,
what I found is if you do foam end to end, you get a smooth transition. If you do it at a 90-degree angle, you get a hard transition. So if you want a muzzle that comes jutting out, like say Mickey Mouse's, you want to actually put the nose on or the snout on like that as opposed to like that. Okay, so it's start. It needs more material here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a slit. And you see it, I'm going to need a wedge that's like that. And then I'm going to round it off. Let's see what I can do. So this helps me visualize the shape that needs to go in this space. So I do that and I kind of think about it or kind of figure it out. Sometimes I'll draw it. So that's basically the shape I'm going to need. And ignore the end, but so that's going to go. I think this persona is just about deep. So that's going to go in there like so. Actually, it's not. Yep, I've just messed it up. Let me get some more foam. Actually, I cut off the big bunch and I realized I had some more scraps that I could use. Okay, so what I saw from this was that it actually is just straightening it out. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to curve. And so by wanting it to curve, I need it to be more like, I need it to be more like, that. in front of his nose. Don't do that. Well, boy, I'm gonna get demonetized. Okay, so that's gonna go. Into here. Still not right, but it's getting there. I almost feel like it needs to go up just a little bit more. It's all a process where you find the shape.
I'm putting way too much on this thing already. This won't be in the final puppet though.
So basically, I'm just gonna keep adding and subtracting pieces from this until I get the shapes that I want. I'm trying to. And I'm kind of squeezing it into place. Try and find that. So something needs to come out of this part because I'm getting a bump there. But the front's starting to look like something. Did I get kicked off?
Everybody went so quiet. I thought, oh, geez, when I drew that shape, that maybe I got
Banned by Facebook again. It wasn't intentional. Okay, so I want to take out this. I want to take out this this hump he has going on his nose. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a wedge out. It's just shape on top of shape on top of shape that you put in and take out to get these shapes. Make sure your finger's not behind it. I've gotten very paranoid since Ralphie. Okay, so cut a little too much. So I cut that out. I'm trying to get rid of it, and then I'm trying to lift that nose. And if you cut too much, you just put it back. It's just foam. Looking like Opus. Maybe I'll just build Opus instead.
Because I'm talking about camels. There. So I think yeah, I totally built an Opus. Look at that.
It doesn't really matter because I'm going to completely cut this thing up, but just to show you. Look at that. Oh boy. Okay, let me see what I need to do here. I think his nose is too long, so I need to shrink that up a little bit. I love how I haven't used anything that I started with. It's such a process where you just keep getting more and more wedges, and then you get to the point where it's so hard, so many wedges. The shape might be close, but you can't see anything else. So you take it apart, make a pattern, true it up, put it back together, and then do the whole process again.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
It looks so much like Opus. I might as well just make Opus. Here, I'll do that side so it doesn't look like Opus as much. I'm liking where that's going. See, okay, so this is where the mouth palette kind of helps inform what's going to happen. So look what happens when I widen out that part. It starts to kind of, at least to me, look like that front end. I know it's hard with Opus being staring at you, but okay, so. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to make a mouth palette, a fake mouth palette. Okay, so I'm going to use some cardboard. I like to make sure the corrugation's going this way so I can just fold it to make a mouth plate. So what I want to do for the mouth plate is try and get some of the shapes I'm looking for. I'm going to kind of squeeze it in. I'm going to butt that up against there. I'm going to kind of squeeze it in. And that'll help shape the. This is how I did Eddie's mouth plate too. All right, so that's going to be the top. So I got to do something about these front lips, but in fact, I'm going to cut those off, I think. Well, I'll deal with that later. I'm going to make the bottom mouth plate now. Yeah, it's very similar to Eddie's mouth shape. So I'm going to glue that in place now. It's not quite right. I could tell that it was causing it to pucker out like I didn't want it to, so you just take a little bit off. It should help. All right.
Now, you never would have used cardboard for an actual mouth plate, but they work great for these in-progress ones.
Okay, I should probably figure out where the hole is going to go through it. So if my hand's in there like this, it's going to come out right here. So you said how much it looks like Eddie's mouth plate. It's like each puppet kind of informs the next one, or like I find that I learned something on each puppet, and makes it I don't know, that much more interesting on the next one. So yeah, it is very much like Eddie's mouth plate, but that's because I kind of found that shape already on Eddie, or the shape I was looking for. Okay, I'm gonna have to make that bigger. Okay, so now I got to fix his mouth. You know what? He needs some eyes too. I think I may blow this head up once I get it done, because it's considerably smaller than the other puppet. Okay, now I got to figure out how to stick these on here so that I can see it. Probably have to put a pin in this too. I don't know if this is looking like the character to you guys, but it's starting to look like it to me. So I'm putting the tape on to stick it to the plastic sphere, and then I'm putting the pins in to stick that tape to the foam, if you're wondering. Like I said, this will go through this process constantly until I get there. I think it's going to need a little bit of a brow ridge, and I've got to address this lower jaw. So let's do that. So I'm going to cut away this part. Yeah, these are 2.5. And I think the ones on Sammy are 2.5. Let me see. Yeah, they look like the same size eye. And actually, this head's not as small as I thought it was. Okay. Ralph has 4-inch eyes. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off this little part here, because I like what's going on with the with this curve that's coming out of the front of this. I'm going to see if I can keep it. Okay, so now all I've got to do is fill in this little spot. Well, I'm going to have to just flatten this out a little bit more. So I'm going to have to fill in this spot here. Try and get his mouth. I think I can. Sorry, this is all such a process. Okay, so now I'm going to fill this part in right here. I keep cutting away a little bit because I can see that the shape's not going to be right unless I do. I think that'll do it. Okay. I may need to make this a little smaller too. I think that's going to do it, actually. Oh, I got off center. I don't know how that happened. Well, that's my problem. It's still off center, but not as bad. Okay, now I've taken too much. All right. Time to make some repairs. So this is gonna, I know that I want a lip there. Here's what I think is gonna happen. I'm gonna get rid of all this, except for the cheeks. All right, just this happens. This happens sometimes where you kind of struggle with the shapes. Okay, so now I'm gonna just make him a brand new jaw. Boy, wasn't that fun? What happened to my pen? Let me get this persona out of the way before I cut myself. Oh. Okay, because I've done this before, I know that this shape is going to make a lower jaw. So I'm going to make 2 of these and see how close it was. I think it needs a little bit more. Thank you, Dave. Oh, what happened? What did I do? I don't want a media. Come on. No, no, no. There we go. Sorry about that. I must have hit a button or something. And if you didn't see a prompt saying to open up a media, that's what I saw. I think we lost Scott.
There might be big gaps in this, but at least they'll have a lower jaw. I love that I didn't even test it.
Who knows what I'm going to get? Okay, so yeah, so I lost too much material down here, but okay, so I need to reassess. Um, okay, so I think that's the shape I need. Can you see it? That little shape right there, which is going to be that. Try that again. I made it a little too small. I'm running out of foam. Not really. I have plenty of foam. Really, if you just keep making the neck hole bigger, you don't have to make as much puppet. Okay.
I think he might be gonna have to get some wedges in his cheeks to keep those out a little bit. Is that the big one or the little one? You guys remember? Is that the one I just made, or is that the first one? Oh, so
I'm gonna probably have to reshape this lower jaw. He's getting, well, he's okay. I thought his jaw was getting a little too big. Like a puzzle piece here. So he needs to have that come in a little bit. Sorry. He needs to have the back of his head straightened out. And all I got to do is take just the tiniest little wedge out of here. I'll probably futz with this a lot after I get off of here, but it's really kind of starting to look like something to me. I promise I won't go on to the next step until tomorrow. So why do you do that for the piece of paper? Is it just so you have a pattern for it? So I flatten that out, but I forgot to do this one. There we go. Oh, I see. Oh, that's a good idea. I never want to be reminded of this shape again. Needs a little bit of a brow ridge. That might be a plan on those. He needs a little bit more cheek. I think he needs. Sorry. No, maybe not. Yeah, don't tell anybody. Well, actually, I don't need to. Okay, you talked me into it.
So that was a mistake, cutting it there. But it's just easy enough just to put it back where it was. Oh, I see what you're saying. I
get it. Yeah, that's a good idea, actually. You know what I need? All right, like that. I think I need a wedge right there. Maybe a couple of wedges. Do the same over here. So what you're saying is you you take a little scrap of paper and then you stick it in there like so, and then you bend it into shape, and then you can just trace onto the paper to find the shape, right? Like that, or whatever. Okay, yes, that's a good idea, but I'm not going to do it. Okay. And this is how I had three bags of
trash bags to take out after I was done with those couple. But those landfills are never going to fill themselves.
Okay. If this looks terrible, I can just take it out. Okay, so that, I don't know if you guys can see it, but that helped. I think he needs another one down here to fill that out. And I can go on all day doing this stuff, but I think that's probably that. Let me make some ears for him real quick, and then I'll probably futz with this after. After I go offline, but done with the glue. Yeah, I do too. Okay, so I'm kind of glad I didn't start with the Sammy pattern, because I don't think I could have found this shape the way I did if I had. Yeah, he needs more. He needs more cheek down there. But I don't know exactly how to do it just yet. I think he needs a brow. I think he's looking pretty good from the side, though. Well, that didn't work. His ears actually do go back quite a bit, which I've never really been able to achieve with the puppets. Yeah, it's getting there. Now I'm getting a second one on there. Yeah, I think so. You said his mouth could be used for a goat as well. Yeah, that's the thing is that. I mean, I built Ralph, and that completely informed the way I did a commission I was working on. So each one of these things kind of informs the next. Yeah, those ears aren't quite right. Let's see. Let me. This is what I'm trying to do here. So that's his side view. So his ears look like they're going, maybe they're just not big enough. But again, I'll figure it out. I think maybe they need to be farther back on his head. I'm going to spend all night trying to figure out where these ears go. Oh, that's better. Okay. So his cheeks also, well, I think they need a little bit to be filled out a little bit more. His cheeks are there's going to be a lot of fur on top of him. So it's kind of figuring out how much is too much. I just don't want these to look like oven mitts. Yeah, it's still not quite there, but it's. I think they just might not be the right size, or maybe they just need to curve more. Well, they're just there for temporary anyway. So that's looking closer. Yeah. Well, he looks like a giant rat, which he does. Anyway, I think that might be as close as I get right now. But let's see. Size-wise, he's about the same. His ears are on the side, though. I wonder if that's what it is. Okay, I'm not quite done. We're going to try him on the side. And because it's a 2D cartoon character, you never know, like, really what it's going to do in 3D until you build it. It might look right from the front, but not look right from the side, or vice versa. So you just have to kind of find what looks good enough that you can live with it. Okay, so that's. I'm so blown out, it's hard to tell. Okay, you could run some wire along the outside. Yeah, I'm gonna have to put wire in there anyway. There's wire in these. See, I think it needs to be more constructed more like this, but I'm kind of limited to what I can do with the foam. I was just trying to figure it out. No, I appreciate it. You know, it's a process. And it's far from the end of this puppet. I mean, it's, you know, yeah. So anyway, I think I'm done for now on this. I say as I keep working on it. Sorry, I want to make sure I get all these pointy edges out of here. Yeah. Yeah, I need to address this curve here. I've got to put a little bit on that, but that might be a plan-on piece. Yeah, I think that will be. Okay, so I'm just talking to myself. I'm going to do some more work on it offline, and then tomorrow I'll cut it apart and make the second one. So stay tuned. All right, guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for indulging me.